our talk tonight on having endless places to go, okay? And let me get out of the presentation here, start from the beginning, right? And I call this filling the pipeline, okay? And most people in Primerica suck at this. Most people in any form of self-employment suck at this, okay? But you got to dig your well before you're thirsty. Seems basic enough, but most of you don't act that way, right? Because I look at your numbers. You want to hit your numbers, you want to get your points, you want to go on a trip, but you just don't get around to doing it, right? Okay, because you're digging your well the last 2 days of the month. I need all this production here, right? Instead of digging it early, so you've got a constant pipeline of people and places, right? Most people underestimate what it takes to win. Have you figured that out yet? How many of you have thought at some point, man, I'm a shoo-in for this promotion this month, and then it doesn't happen, right? Okay, good. You are delusional, okay? It's not bad, it's just true. You think it's going to take effort A, and it really takes 3 times effort A, right? That's okay. We learn from it, and we make different decisions, right? And that's what I'm going to teach you today. This business is seed time and harvest, okay? Think about a farmer. Okay, most people in Primerica act like a farmer who does this. They go out in the field, they scatter a handful of seeds, they put some water on it, they come back in 30 minutes, and they're pissed that they don't have a field full of stuff, right? Okay, but that's not how farming works. You would say to that farmer, dude, you only put 1 handful of seed in this whole place, you watered it, it's only been 30 minutes, what did you expect? Well, when you make 3 appointments a week, right, and you want to do 10,000 in sales, what did you expect? What did you expect, right? You put a handful of seed out there, you didn't take care of it, and then you wanted to reap a harvest that was much larger than the one that you were eligible to reap based on the amount of seeds you've sown, right? Okay, as a man soweth, so shall he reap, right? Okay, this is straight up biblical, you all, right? God's not a man that he should lie, but he also not going to give you 100 times more than you put in, right? Okay, because that's against a natural principle, okay? So look at this. Most problems in Primerica are really list problems. Most problems in Primerica are list problems. I don't have any people coming to meetings. That's a list problem. I don't have enough people to go see. That's a list problem. I'm not making any money. That's a list problem, okay? I can't get anybody to say yes to me. That's a list problem. Most problems originate as a problem with not enough people on a list. That's the origin of most problems, okay? So let me explain to you the common trajectory in Primerica, okay? Most people do a shoddy job of making a master list, okay? So they put 50 people on it or 100 people. If you want to win here, you need a whole lot more than that. Because not everybody's going to meet with you, not everybody's going to do it, not everybody's going to join, not everybody that joins is going to do the work, right? Okay? You need to have a lot of people. I teach, right, if you're on my part-timers calls, you need to have 1,000 people on your list. How many of you have 1,000 people on your list? Okay? Full-time, 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 full-time. Who is that in the back?
Ken.
Okay, Ken, not full-time, okay? But 4 out of 5 of the people that have 1,000 on their list are full-time. Ironic or not ironic, right? Okay, no, it's just it's correlatory, if that's a word, right? Okay, okay, good, right? Those 2 things go together. Okay, so here's what happens: you put 40 people on your list, you see 20 of them, you recruit a handful, you don't do a very good job of plugging them in and taking them in the field, and then you're like, I don't have anybody to call. How many of you ever felt like I don't have anybody to call? Okay, go ahead, raise your hand. Don't be shy. That's not true. You have lots and lots of people to call, but you haven't taken the time to make the list appropriately. Okay, so you're operating off this very narrow thing. Most people look at hot market, right, and they misinterpret. They think that's my warm market. Hot market is a very finite amount of people in your list, right? These are people you have great relationships with. That's where the magic happens, right? But you have hundreds or thousands of people that are warm market. What's a warm market? Not a stranger. That is a warm market. They know your name, you know their name. That's a warm market, okay? And that's where you're going to build the majority of your business, you all. is in a warm market, not in a hot market. You're going to build in your hot market temporarily, and then you're going to need to be playing in the warm market. And you're going to recruit people, play in their hot markets temporarily, but then you're going to be in warm market. So you've got to learn how to make a massive list and how to get your people to make massive lists, right? Because when you're looking at a list that has 50 people, you're constantly thinking, what happens when I run out? When you look at a list of 1,000 people, you're constantly thinking, gosh, I'm going to have to work for years to get through to all these people. Very different mindset, right? Okay, very different mindset. And that mindset makes you operate in a different fashion. I need you because I'm down to 48 after I see you is different than, did I see you, yes or no? Who cares, right? Okay, check, next, right? I always looked at this business like it was my job to get through the list. I didn't care what happened on the list. I just had to get through the list. Okay, so what constitutes taking somebody off the list, as in getting through it? They sat with you, or they told you, never call me again. That's the only two ways they come off the list. Okay, only two ways that they come off the list. My job was to get everybody off the list. Okay, that's different, I think, than most of you approach this. Right, but that I had a big list. I worked on it. I did exactly what I'm going to teach you tonight, and I had endless places to go. Folks, I've never seen most of the people that I know about this business, right? Because I made it so exhaustive that I was able to cherry pick the people that I really wanted to see, right? And then go. Like, I've got a good friend of mine. I spent a lot of time at their house growing up. Inboxed me the other day on Facebook. It's like, I want you to tell me what I do. I'm like, well, you know, I'm pretty busy between now and then. I'm leaving for Florida. I'll call you when I get back, right? I don't have time to see these sort of people that are not succeeding big time in their life, right? And they're reaching out to me. I know this girl really, really well, or I did anyways, right? Okay, and I just don't need to see her. There's so many people, right? Okay, but we've got to do a great job of making the list, qualifying the list, and then working through it systematically, right? And if you do what I'm going to teach you tonight, you're going to have endless places to go, and your biggest problem is going to be, how do I see these people, not what happens when I run out of people, okay? So again, 1,000 people on the list. So what counts as the name on the list, by the way? A name,
and
a phone number, and a qualification, right? Married, kids, home, job, making more than 30 grand a year. What are they? Okay, so I'm going to go through how to get this, right? Okay, and a lot of these people you're not going to have numbers for immediately. So guess what your job is?
Get the number.
Get the number. I love it when people are like, yeah, but I don't have the numbers. I'm like, well, let's use that thing in our head. If we don't have the numbers, what should we be doing? Getting them. Oh, okay. Well, how would I get them? Well, ask. I mean, it's like there's a science to it that's like unspoken. We're all human beings. We all have relationships with people. Ask for them, right? So your non-negotiable goal 7 days from now is you have 1,000 names and numbers on that list. Qualified. They don't all have to be 4 and 5 pointers, but you need to have what they are next to them. Right? Well, I don't know what they are. Well, find out or guess, do something, but don't just not do it. Well, it's like how human beings work most of the time in the middle class, right? As soon as one obstacle happens, like, well, I guess my destiny is over. I got to go do something else. You know, and he's like, I couldn't find this guy's phone number. What should I do? I don't know if he's married or not. I guess I need to stop on my list and never return to it. Okay? You've got to just keep moving forward, right? Okay, so building the list. Here's a tip that will help you more than any tip I'm going to give you. Stay in your warm market. Everybody that you know in any way goes on that list. Think hard, think long, think creatively. Name. I promise you, you have forgotten about more people than you can imagine. That right now your brain is shut off because they've had no purpose for you having these massive breadths of relationships, right? But now you do. Now you have a way to help them and help yourself. So it's important that you start putting them on the list, right? Okay? And warm market. Another thing that I see a lot of people in Primerica do is they go through the hot market and they're uncomfortable in the warm market. What are these people going to think about me? Who cares? How are they helping you right now? They're not. So what possibly that's worse than getting no benefit could happen to you by reaching out to them? Nothing. You're already getting nothing. They're already not in your business. They're already not clients. There's no worse thing that could happen than your current situation with them, right? Okay, but instead what they do is they go hot market, they skip over this 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000 person warm market, and they go right into a cold market, right? And they start mauling people, right? Running into people, their shopping carts at Walmart, okay, right? Looking for the most jacked up, hard up people instead of working the naturally occurring resource that exists. You understand? So 1,000 people you know, start there and do not stop, do not discriminate. Well, they wouldn't be interested. I have people in my business you guys would have never called.
Greg?
Yeah, Greg, Joez, those sort of guys. You never called this guy, right? I mean, you wouldn't have called them because you think they're doing okay, right? But you guys got to get that through your head. That's not the case, right? And put their name on the list. And then it's just a game. Take them off the list. Who cares what happens? Just take them off. They either met with you or they told you, never call me again. Get them off the list. That's your only job. How easy is that? Can you get some people off the list, you all? Right? Get them off the list. That's all. So you guys, you're so emotionally attached to the outcome. Well, this guy's my one. You don't know which guy's your one. I promise on 1,000 people, there's about 10 ones on there. I can show you lists and daily planners that have RVP's names on them. They were on a list. They made it on a list. I took them off the list and they happen to become an RVP in me taking them off the list. How simple and easy is that? Doesn't that like demystify this business a little bit, right? It should make you feel so comfortable. All I gotta do is take people off the list. Gotta put them on and take them off. That's all I have to do here. If I do that and I get through the 1,000 people, it doesn't matter how bad I am. Somebody out of that 1,000 people was born to do this. They're going to win in spite of me. But you're not going to see it because you want to do your 30 people you know real well and then go play with people at the mall. Okay?
Blow the whistle.
Yep. Translate to digital, from digital to paper. This is a big pet peeve of mine. Where's your list? So it's on my phone. That's not a list. That's your phone book. It's not qualified. I can't look at it. I don't know anything about them looking at the list. And neither do you. Okay? Translate digital to a piece of paper, you all. Why? The art of thinking and writing makes this thing work harder than just looking at something there. You will put more people on the list doing it this way because you will remember. You're like, oh, I forgot about that person. I forgot about that person. That's how we're wired. When we take physical action, we remember more than when we just think. End of story. So take them off and put them on a physical list. Name, phone number, and are they qualified or not? And then I would put a column next to it. Have I called them or not? Right? Called them and met with them, yes or no? Okay? Right? So where do you get these people? After you've gone through your physical memory, okay, go through your Facebook. How many of you have Facebook? Wonderful. Keep your hand raised if you have at least 500 friends on Facebook. Virtually all of you. Okay? So there's half of your list. Right? If you have 500 friends on Facebook and you come up to me next week and say, I have 150 people on your list. Something went wrong here in this meeting. You weren't listening. Because all you have to do to make the list is what? Write their name from your friends list on Facebook to the piece of paper, right? And then get their phone number. Well, they didn't have their phone number on there. Well, send them a message. What do you say to them? I was looking for your phone number. Here's mine. And most of them will respond to you. Not everybody, but most will. Okay? Hey, I was looking for your phone number the other day. I must have lost it. Here's mine. Hit me back. Boom. Right? I always offer something in return to show goodwill. Here's mine. Right? Okay? Go into your phone and do the exact same thing. How many of you have at least 300 contacts in your phone? Okay? Between those two, that's 800. Some of them might be overlap. Okay? Right? But you have 1,000 people between Facebook and your phone. If you don't, start being more friendly. Okay? Right? I don't know what else to tell you. Right? Okay? If you don't have 1,000 people that know your name, right, that would know who you are, Start being more friendly, especially if you've been walking around the planet for longer than 20 years. That's 50 people a year, you all. 50 people. There's 365 days. There are people everywhere. How did you not run into 50 people in 365 attempts? I mean, you understand what I'm saying? It's almost laughable how simple it is. But it is that simple. Most people just, what is this person going to think? This is going to be like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person. You just got to go see people. You got to put names on lists and take them off the list and let the chips and the cards fall where they may.
Now, what's the golden trick? What's like the golden nugget? Like, what do we actually have to do besides?
Yeah, what's the golden nugget, right? Exactly. Okay, think hard. Start at kindergarten and work forwards.
Work your way back?
Huh? Start at kindergarten and work your way back to where you are now.
Okay. I like that.
So, who was your kindergarten teacher? They're still alive. Put them on the list. Okay.
I'm going back to Suriname.
Seriously, hey, who were your 3 best friends in kindergarten, Tom? No clue. I still remember mine. Right? Chris Markham, that son of a gun, took the bird feathers out of my bird's nest that I brought in for show and tell. Right? I remember those guys. By the way, he's a client, right? And I recruited him like 3 times. Okay? My kindergarten best friend. 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. Okay? Seriously. Do you want to win big in here or do you want to play around? If you want to win big, you will do what I'm telling you. Well, that's been a long time. Who cares? Your job is to take them off the list. No, I hate you. Never call me again. Great. Next. Off the list. Right? That's your job. Disconnect emotionally and run through that. Right? Okay? Associations. Think about every job you've ever had. Start at the first one and write down the names of people you remember. Joe the bag boy. Great. Put him down as Joe the bag boy. Right? It doesn't count as part of your 1,000 until you have a phone number and some guesstimate. Right? But just get your mind thinking. Your mind is a very powerful tool, but most of us put it on dumb down mode and just bounce around life and watch things happen to us. Right? We need to get this thing to work for us, not in neutral. Right? So work all the way up to where you work now. Write them all down. Well, I don't want to get in trouble at work. Okay. Stop. Just stop. That doesn't make any sense, right? Okay. Write them down. Put their name down. If you're going to have to wait to call them till after you go full time, you really need to go full time if you're petrified about talking to coworkers about helping them. Okay. They really got the man beaten down on you. Okay. But if that's put them down. Put them down, okay?
What if they're out of state?
Put them down.
Out of the country.
Put them down.
Put 'em down.
United States only, put them down. Yep.
Dude, that's like half our list.
There's no point.
That's 3/4 of my
Can we
list.
open up a different market?
Just fly them here.
Eventually.
Yeah, maybe. It's hard. Banking laws and different things, it's
What if, what if they're out of state? Like,
perfect.
how
Put
do-
them on
how
the
do
list. We'll get to that. Put them on the list. Put them on the list.
But how do
Put them on the list. I have a
$30,000
$30,000 base shop out of state. Guy was out of state the entire time. I'm gonna have dozens and dozens of RVPs out of that over time. Put them down. Just put them down. Stop thinking. Put them down. We'll figure out what to do with it once we get them down. When there's 1,500 people there, and here's a guy that lives 1,000 miles away from you, maybe he's not the highest on the 1,500 person. Right? So put them down lower on the thing, but you ain't ever gonna get there anyways if you take them off the list. You're gonna recruit people that are hiding from you. Right? I mean, that's just take them off the list. Well, I can't get a hold of them. Did they come off the list? No, you call them with a different phone number. Gotcha. Hello? Hey, Paul. It's Ian. Gotcha. Hey, you know what? There's really funny things been happening. I've been calling you from my number and it never goes through. And then the first time I answered, man, how are you? Right? Okay. Take them off the list. Take them off the list, right? Church. When you go to church, put them all down. Yes, even your pastor. Yes, even the people that aren't really influential. Yes, everybody. Everybody. Where'd you go to church before? Where'd you go to church before that? Every name you can remember goes on the list.
Do we code the list? Because you talk all the time about a guy you've been recruiting for 5 years. You just move him down and get back to him another.
Yep. So I'll get to that. So
Okay.
this is what we do with the list. Doesn't matter because you don't have a big enough list. Doesn't matter what to do with it yet. Just step by step, right? Okay. Before you can run, you got to learn how to walk. Okay. So we walk by making a 1,000-person plus list, and then we'll figure out what to do with it. But it won't even matter. I mean, you could be terrible. You call the 1,000-person list, say, "Do you have life insurance? Do you want to get life insurance?" You do 50 sales this month. If that's all you did, was call 1,000 people and ask them that, 5% of them would respond positively. If you mailed them something, 1% would respond to you. That's a statistic. 1% response on direct mail. If you mailed them something, 1% would do it. So if you call them, it's going to be better than mailing them, okay? Sports, right? You play sports, some of you, right? So you have kids in sports, all sorts of things, right? Extracurricular things, Boy Scouts, different. Just think back through everything you've ever been involved in any way and get their faces in your mind and write their names down, okay? So this is one of the biggest skills you'll learn in this business is 5 to stay alive, okay? This is what I did for years. My full-timers will attest there's not more than 2 or 3 full-timers who do what I'm asking you to do. Not because they can't, but because they don't, right? Okay? And this is something that was a non-negotiable in my life to win big here, okay? Right? As I always needed to be filling my pipeline, okay? So 5 to stay alive is 5 renewable sources of people that you are going to come across as part of your weekly routine. Okay? Part of your weekly routine. So let's start with professional networking, right? Business Network International is a networking group. They're in every city. It's a bunch of business people, and they get together every week for the sole purpose of passing referrals. For the sole purpose of passing referrals. So every week you go there, there's 50 salespeople wanting to pass referrals to you. Okay, on top of that, the BNI recruits. It recruits new business owners to the group to pass referrals with. So every week you show up at the BNI, there's 2 or 3 new what's there? New business owners
Yep.
that are encouraged to meet and talk with you. About what? Business. This is like common sense, folks. You show up one way or the other and new people are there you didn't have to invite. The group found them, brought them to you, and said meet with them. That's easy, right? Okay? Chamber of Commerce. What city do you live in? It has a Chamber of Commerce. Go onto the Google, type it in, and show up at a meeting. And there will be a lot of people there who own what? Businesses that want to talk about what? Business. All you had to do was show up there, and the Chamber of Commerce did the hard work of getting the other people to come and encouraging them to talk about business with you.
Do we care if there's another Primerica agent there?
In the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah.
No, because you're going to outwork them. Guess what you're going to find out about Primerica people? They are the laziest sons of guns in the world. Seriously.
Yeah.
They show up there, collect cards, they ain't never going to follow up with nobody. Unless you run into Assad or me or John Cooper. You're good.
Okay.
Yep. You're good. They're just not going to do it. They're going to meet you. They're going to talk about stuff with you, and then they're never going to call you.
Okay.
And you're going to call them, right? And it's easy, right? Okay. Professional networking events. There's all sorts of lunch meetings, network after work, right? Why don't you get on the Google again and type in networking events near me? I promise you, there's a whole slew of them. Every once in a while, I show up to one of these things, right? If I'm in the area or whatever. It's funny, I never see none of you. You're not there. I'm making 70 grand a month, and you ain't there, and I'm there. I'm thinking about what's wrong with this. This guy was just telling me how he's not making any money. I'm at the event, he's not at the event. We both have the same Google. How is it I found out about it, but you didn't? They're not filtering your search engine, right? Filter for unsuccessful people, right? Okay, let's hide all the things they could be doing to win, right? It's just nobody does it. You show up at the networking event, and you didn't have to invite anybody. You showed up, there were people there who want to talk about business. Folks, this is so easy. It's like taking candy from a baby. But most people just don't do it. They'd rather run their shopping carts into people at Walmart. Hey, you look like a sharp guy, right? I can't understand why they don't ever call me back. Well, They think you're trying to kill them. I mean, that's right. That's what they think is going to happen, right? When you run around running carts into people,
Rape
okay?
people.
Right? This is easy. It is low hanging, high quality fruit, but you all just don't do it. That's super easy. Doesn't get any easier than that. Okay? You show up, they're already there. So what should you do? BNI is every week, and you should be at one chamber event or professional networking event a week. If you met 2 or 3 people here and 5 or 10 people here, that's 8 to 15 people a week by showing up to 2 things. High quality, right? Church, right? Every week at your church, your pastor tells you, stand up and introduce yourself to somebody you don't know. They're encouraging you to prospect. It doesn't get any easier than this. Go find somebody you don't know and say hello to them. Thanks for asking, right? Okay? You don't go to church to find people, but if you want to find good people, that's where they are, you all. That's where they are. Right now, every once in a while, you get some nut jobs think the world's going to end, right? And they meet with you, they're like, I don't need any life insurance. Why? Because Jesus is coming back next week. Right? I'm like, well, I hope that happens for you, but just in case, why don't we get a setup? Right? Okay? Every once in a while, you meet those folks, right? Okay? One of my favorites, I had this wonderful lady I met at church. She had a couple $100,000 invested, right? And like, pulled it all out at a terrible time, paid all sorts of expenses because it was in guaranteed products you're not supposed to do that with. And her reason was the world was going to end. And I'm like, I got to have you put this in writing, ma'am, and sign it. And I'm going to put it in your client file because when they come ask me why you did this, I'm going to show them your letter about how the world's going to end and that's why you're taking it out. And she did. She wrote about how the world was going to end. Is it a client file? Somebody calls like, why did this person do it? I just sent it to them. They're like, is this real? I'm like, that's absolutely real. That's why I write it. So every once in a while you get those folks, but most of the time you get really responsible, hardworking, good, honest people. That's where they are, right? Some of you are like, how come I can't find a good man? Because you're picking them up at the bar and not at the church. That's why you can't find a good man.
Why are you looking at me?
What a man, what a man.
Seriously.
I think you changed your name on the docs.
Okay? Right? So this is where good married people with children go. Where do the married people with children go? They go to church because they can drop their kids off for 2 hours. That's where they go. Right? Okay? So go there, right? So I go there every week. There's dozens of new people that are introduced to me. All I gotta do is show up, they're already there. I didn't have to invite them. You should invite people to your church, but I didn't have to. They showed up all on their own, right? So you go there. My goal was that I would start relationships with 2 new people every week at my church. Okay? 2 new people that I could talk to for a couple of minutes, send them my number, in turn getting their number, I'll teach you that, right? And I would just start making a catalog, right? I'd start making a catalog that I wouldn't necessarily harvest right away, but in a month, I'd have 10 or 12 people that knew who I was. I would keep building those relationships. Hey, Mike, what's happening, buddy? How's work? Oh, awesome, right? And over time, then I got 20, then I got 30, then I got 50. Sooner or later, one of these guys wants to know what you do,
Boom.
right? Boom.
Business.
Steaming people. This is where you go and sit with one person for the sole purpose of getting more people. Okay, write this down. I should only ever steam centers of influence. Some of you steam like the broke kid down the street, okay? Steaming is for people you don't feel comfortable going right out to recruit for whatever reason, right? They're the mayor of your city, and you're not sure they're going to leave their political office next week to join Primerica full-time. Yeah, I know you all elected me, but I found this deal, I'm done, right? Good luck, I'm doing this. That might happen, but it's unlikely, right? So you would steam your mayor, right? You would steam people that are in positions of authority that are not necessarily hating what they do, right? And steam is the process of turning one person into 5 or 6 highly qualified people. Okay, so STEAM stands for sales, teacher, enthusiastic, ambitious, and motivated, preferably money motivated. So here's how you STEAM people. So let's say Bob owns a car dealership in my town, making a lot of money, may not be interested in doing this, but has great relationships, right? So I call Bob and say, hey Bob, it's Ian, how are you, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I know that you're really happy where you are. I know you're being really well taken care of. You wouldn't be looking for anything else, okay? But I actually have a business in the area. I'm looking for some key people part-time and full-time, okay? And I'd just love to take 15 minutes with you, buy you a coffee, and show you who I'm looking for, what they'd be doing, how their comp plan works. And I just love to pick your brain, see if you could direct me in that, direction, some local talent. As far as us getting together for like 15, 20 minutes, what's better for you? Morning's better, maybe a lunch, what's easier? So I'm going totally third party at him. I'm not coming at him at all. And I told him, I'm sure this wouldn't be for you. I know you're really well taken care of there. I'm sure you're really happy. Okay? But I want to be able to pick your brain. I'm looking for some key people, blah, 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 right? Okay, so I show up and I do exactly that with them. I show them a one-page presentation. I explain overrides to them and I say, Bob, listen. I said, I know you're not interested. I know you wouldn't be looking for anything like this. But what I want to do is I just want to take a few minutes. I'm gonna describe an attribute or a characteristic of somebody. What I want you to do is say the first person that comes to your mind. Okay, if you got to think about it, that's not who I'm looking for. Okay, but if you got somebody that pops to your mind, Bob, they would be predisposed to being really good here. Now, Bob, they're probably not going to be interested either, because you know them. You're a high-level guy. They're probably a high-level guy, but they may know some people that are interested. They may know some people, right? So I haven't tried to sell you anything here today, right? I haven't tried to recruit you, nothing like that. I'm going to do the same thing with them. So Bob, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a name or a characteristic. I want you to say the first name that comes to your mind. Now here's the deal, Bob. I'm going to call that person, and here's what I'm going to say to them. Like, for example, one of them is really ambitious, right? So I say you refer me your friend Tim. I'm going to call Tim. I say, hey, you know what? I'm friends with Bob D'Angelo. I'm looking for some people. He told me he didn't think you'd be interested, but he told me you were the most ambitious person he knew. You were a go-getter. You were on your A game. Does that sound like you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, great. Right? And Bob, listen, he's going to feel great about what you said about him. He's going to call you and say, man, thanks for saying those nice things. I'm also going to tell him that you told me he wouldn't be interested, so you're off the hook. Okay? And I'm going to do exactly what I did here with you with him. So he's going to feel great about it, okay? I'm not going to try to recruit him, sell him anything, no problem, okay? And I set it up like that so that they're not like, I don't want to give you names. I have to tell him exactly what's going to happen so he knows, all right, this was comfortable, they're going to be comfortable, that way they give you names, right? And I go through Steve, all right, sales. Who's a great salesperson? Not pushy, not aggressive. They're just really great at what they do. Oh, Timmy, okay, great. What's Tim's number? Head down, head on the paper. You have his number, Bob, in your phone?
555.
Go ahead and give it to me. Wonderful, right? Okay, good. Next, right? Boom, 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 boom. So I got him. Bob, listen, do me a favor. Send these guys a text. Let them know I'm going to be calling them, and to take 15 minutes to meet with me, and that they may see some value, but they're definitely going to know some people. Can you do that for me? Great. So I get that, and then I ask him, Bob, I'd be remiss to not ask you this, but scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I would hate helping people. I would hate making extra money. 10 being if I could make a few $1,000s a month, maybe even just referring people or working like totally spare time. Where would your initial interest level be? You'd be surprised some of the steams are high, right? But I'm not. That's not why I'm there. I'm there for names, and secondly to recruit them or sell them something. Right? Does that make sense? Right? So I take 1 guy, I get 5 guys who are predisposed to being good at this if they're interested. I call those 5 guys, let's say I sit with 3 of them, who give me 5 guys. So I turn 1 guy into 5 guys into 15 guys, right? And I'm like reverse osmosis filtering. I'm taking good people and finding the best people who send me to the best people of the best people. Sooner or later, you're sitting with some real winners. And somebody in there is just saying, I've been looking for something like this. You know, it's funny when you call me and say, you know what? Bob gave me your phone number. He told me you wouldn't be interested. He told me you were really well taken care of. You were highly paid. You were really happy where you were. You wouldn't be looking for something. The right people on the other one. I've had people say, no, I'd be interested in this. Bob, well, that's great. He didn't think you would be. We can talk about that, but what I'm really interested in is the people you might know. And he's like, why aren't you trying to recruit me? Why do you want my people? I might want my people, right? And that's how you do it, right? So if you did this 2 or 3 times a week, there's another 10 or 15 or 20 high quality people, right?
Supposed to head down.
Head down. What's the number?
Anticipating your
What's the number? Yep.
full assumption mode.
People will do what you expect of them generally, right? And if you did what I showed you there and you told them exactly what you were going to say to the person and exactly what was going to happen, they'll feel comfortable giving you the number. It's only when they don't trust you, say, well, I don't really want to give you the number. How many of you ever had that, right? I don't really want to give you the numbers of these people. So they don't trust you. You haven't explained to them what you're going to do with the other person well enough. Client referrals. How many of you have and use Lisa Dwyer's client referral sheet? Oh my gosh. Every single one of you needs to go get that. You need to use it every time you're sitting in front of a human being. If somebody buys something from you, you better be walking out with a referral sheet. If they trust you to do their stuff, why wouldn't they give you to other people? Right? Again, if you're getting 2 clients a week, like you should be, if you have 1,000 person on a list, right? Okay, that's another 10 or 15 people to add to the list, right? Out and about. So this was my other 5 to stay alive. How many of you leave your house? Wonderful. How many of you notice that there are other human beings that have also left their house? Wonderful. Okay, very good. So out and about, potential clients. Potential clients, they might be recruits, but these are in-market people. Where do you find these people? Your kid's basketball game, parent-teacher conferences, at Starbucks, waiting in line, okay? Here's how you get these people, okay? You talk about them. That's their favorite subject. You talk about them. The only thing you're talking about is them, right? Form, family, occupation, recreation, motivation. Talk to them. You ask questions. Here's some of the questions you can ask. What do you love about what you do now? So I'm talking to Tina at the Starbucks line, right? Okay, and I'm asking her, so, you come here often, and blah blah blah, whatever, right? I'm asking, well, what do you do for a living? Right? Oh, I do this. Great, awesome. How long have you been doing that? Oh, about 10 years. Awesome. You must be really good at it. What did it take you to become great at what you do? I imply they're good, and they're like, I don't know. I worked hard. I blah blah whatever they're telling me. I say, man, what do you love about it? Wow, I don't know if I love anything about it, right? Or well, I really love working with people. Awesome, that's great. So what's your game plan there? You see a lot of room for upward mobility? You think you'll ever run the place? Oh no, really? Oh man, that's a shame. I think you'd be great, right? Blah blah blah. Moving on to something else with them. Well, guess what? Sooner or later, if they're anybody who you're looking for at all, they will have enough common sense to ask you about what you do.
What do you do?
Right? What do you do? So that's when you are prepared. When asked what you do, you reply, and I have a couple things I like to say. I help people fire their boss. Well, how do you do that? You know what? I'm really busy. We're about to get, here in line, or if you're out line with somebody. But this is really great for stuff that you're doing with like people you see on a recurring basis through your kids' stuff and other things maybe you're bowling league or something, right? And you can even tell them like, hey, you know what? I don't really want to talk personal and business stuff together, but maybe we'll talk about it sometime. And then back to them. You deflect that question, so you answer it with a tagline that intrigues them, and then you shut it down. So I help people fire their boss. So how do you do that? You know what? I'm not really into mixing like family and business, but maybe we'll talk at some point. So tell me again about little Timmy. He's pretty good at soccer, man. You guys work on it, and boom, I'm talking about their favorite subject, right? Okay. Or I say I help people make money. Well, how do you do that? Well, I don't really want to mix, church and business right now, but that's how I get people's numbers at church, right? Well, I don't really want to, mix that, but maybe we'll talk at some other time. So anyways, you're saying you spot a house over here, awesome, and I'm just constantly going back to them. So here's how you do this, okay? So switch the conversation back to them, and at the end, before you leave, you say, hey, Aristida, real quick, you got a phone? Great. What's your cell phone number? I'm going to text you my info so you have my contact info.
Yada, yada, yada.
Boom. So I text him, Ian Pruckner, nice to meet you, send it to him, and then I screenshot it. Boom. I have their info sitting in my thing, right? And I'll go home and I take it out of my phone and I put it where? On the list. Right? And now I know everything about them. I know if they're married. I know if they have kids. I know if they own a home. I know something about what they do. Right? And I just bolster the list. Right? Why? I might need it at some point. You get this? Okay? So that's the easiest way to get people's info when you're face to face with them. Before you leave, oh, hey, Phil, hey, before you go, real quick, you got a phone on you?
Yep.
Great. Give me your number real quick. I'm going to text you my contact info so you have it.
That's exactly what he does. It's crazy.
Exactly. Jar, go ahead.
What is the cutoff time from like calling a referral? Like if you have a referral list you haven't called, like what is it?
Forever.
Oh, you can.
I mean, but think about it like food at a grocery store. Like eventually there's a shelf life on it. Eventually it's going to go bad. It's going to be not as well received. Right? Oh, you know what? I think your auntie referred me to you about 12 years ago. I've been pretty busy, but I just
Finally got around to it.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's a referral and you set the right expectations with the referrer always reaches out on your behalf, and you coach them exactly what to say. Hey, Sharday is going to give you a call. Promise me you're going to make 30 minutes to meet with her. She helped me so much. I promise she's not going to waste your time. Boom. Now when you call, you've got a little bit of warm intro there. You're not like, no, she didn't tell me you'd be calling. Like, thanks. Right? Out and about for recruiting. These are going to be primarily people that are employed somewhere where you're there. Okay? So you don't know much about them. You're not going to have a long time to talk to them. It's just in and out transactional. So here's what you say to them. Every human being that you're in contact with at a store or somewhere else, you say this to them. Hey, just out of curiosity, you plan on doing this forever, or are you keeping your options open?
I'm open.
So a little bit snide. Like, hey, you plan on doing this forever, or are you keeping your options open? They almost always say, I'm keeping my options open. Why? And I say to them, okay, great. Give me your contact info. I might have somebody reach out to you over the next couple of weeks. I might have one of my recruiting managers reach out to you. Right? I just wait for it. If they ask what it's about, I say it's not this. They're at Subway, it's not this. And then generally they're like, yeah, you're right. And they give you the info, right? And I just collect the info, and I take the info, and I put it on the list. Right? How simple could this be? I mean, it's so simple. There's 5 million people around here. I don't have any people. No, your brain is shut down. There are people everywhere. You're just not using what God gave you, a mind to think and a voice to speak. If you can say hello to people and ask one line of questions, you can do this, right? Okay? Constantly be adding to the list. Constantly, constantly, constantly. I'm always adding people to my list. These days I don't do very much with it, right? But I still do it. It's still a habit. It's just part of who I am. Everywhere I go, I talk to people. Right? I only call the people I think are going to be really good now, right? But I still add them. What if I want to get back serious into like building a new base shop or something? Now I got a 1,000-person list. Let's start again, right? Okay? But there's never any excuse for having low numbers, not hitting your promotions, not doing those things. If you had 1,000 people, you called them all and gave them a script, you would hit whatever you wanted to hit. Right? Pretty basic. You just don't do it because you don't have 1,000 people, most of you, because you haven't done what I've told you here. But now you know, and like G.I. Joe says, knowing is half the battle. The other half of the battle is tonight, go home and start working on this list and get it done in the next 7 days. If you spend 20 minutes a day on it, you'd have it done. Right? You'd have it done. And what you'd find is you're going to have way more than 1,000. You're going to have 1,500. You're going to have 2,000.
That's horrible.
And your job is to do what? Take them off.
The list.
Put them on and take them off. Put them on and take them off. Put them on and take them off. That's all you're doing. Putting people on the list, taking people off the list. Putting people on the list, taking people off the list. Does it matter what they do? No. Not if it's that big. It doesn't matter what they do. They were interested, they weren't interested. Either way, did I get them off the list? Yes or no? So let's circle back to people you want. People you want, you make a separate list. And this is your perpetual follow-up. This is your perpetual follow-up. I have a little short list, 50, 60 guys. Some of them are ladies that I want on my team. I'm going to get them sooner or later. I'm going to keep following up. Right? Those people I save in my phone so that when I'm sitting somewhere, I've got 10 minutes of downtime, I'm feeling a little down because nothing went the way I wanted to do. Okay, let me do something productive. And I open it up at A and I start scrolling and I look for names that pop out. And I give them a call. I got a guy right now that I'm working on. This is in my business 5 or 6 years ago. Was a stud, but he was super young and he was in Watertown, New York. He was an hour away from any office. He had 15 guys. He was full-time for about a year, made 15, 16 grand, which is not a lot, but he's a 21-year-old kid, right? But he's so far away from everybody in New York, it's real weird, right? I mean, it's before you can replace a policy, you got to fill out a form and send it to the other company, and the other company has got to send you stuff back before you can even take it out. It's like replacement on steroids, right? I mean, it's crazy, right? And he just started listening to the wrong people and disappeared, right? But he's a stud. He's a stud. He'd do really well. He's aged into a market now of people that need this, right? I saw his name the other day. I called him. I left him a message. Dude called me back like 5 times over the weekend. He's like, man, I just broke up with my fiance. I hate Watertown, blah, blah, blah. I've been thinking about calling you and maybe moving to Michigan and
Come on over.
and having you train me. And I don't really have anybody holding me here, and I need to be in a bigger population center. And, you know, I've been selling cars for the last 5 years. I made 80 grand last year, so I'm way better at sales, right? Like ding, 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 ding. You just never know when that person's gonna say yes, if they're the right sort of person. And one of the right people is worth 50 of the wrong people, by the way. But you got to go through the wrong people generally to find the right ones. You find quality through quantity, no other way. And you find quantity through having massive lists of people to be calling, right? If you called, right, I'm a big proponent of setting activity result goals, not outgoing call goals, okay? But I always wanted 3 or 4 appointments a day. Right? Well, how many people you got to call off your 1,000-person list to get 3 or 4 appointments? If you're good, 6, 7, 2 won't pick up. Most of the people you talk to will set with you. Okay? So if you're calling 6 or 7 and taking 4 off the list, how many you need to be putting on the list every day? 6 or 7. Well, where do you get them? Facebook tells you every day. You might know these people. Thank you. Right? The people Facebook has told me you I might know. Friend them, send them a thing, right? I mean, it's just a process. You friend 3 or 4 or 5 people a day. In a year, that's another 1,000 people, right? So you get half of their numbers. That's another new 500 on the list. I promise you, you ain't calling and sitting with and getting 500 people off your list this year. You're not. Because you're going to recruit people, and then they're going to take you to their list. So then you're going to be splitting time between your list and their lists. Right? Do you see this? How simple, how basic. It's so easy. Most people just don't do it. They're overcomplicating. They're worried about what people are going to think about them. Stop. Emotionally disconnect. Put names on the list. Take names off the list. Put names on the list. Take names off the list. Put names on the list. Take names off the list. It doesn't matter what happens. Enough right things will happen that you won't even get through the list. It's never going to happen. You get so busy working with other people in other people's markets, training great people, getting referred to other great people by great people. You're just never going to see the bottom of that list, right? And then you're going to keep adding to it and replacing it.
So Ian, how many, okay, so I call you, I get a hold of you, or I don't, right? How many times should I keep calling you within a certain time frame?
Okay, so good. Here's a good question. So I never really thought about that a lot because I had so many people on the list that I would just like try to work it down, and then I would circle back around.
100?
It might take me like a week or 2 weeks to circle through the top part of that list if I was getting nobody. But I was rarely getting nobody, right?
So don't stay in a 20 range and then keep going down.
Right. Just keep
Sounds
going
desperate.
down until you're really, really low. But again, you call 600 down that list, you recruited some of those folks. I
Yeah.
mean, somebody's joined.
You'll have
Yeah.
at least 100 appointments.
At least. If you suck, you have at least 100 appointments. I mean, yeah, you're going to get so busy that you'll forget to keep doing this.
Okay.
And then you'll dry your pipe up, and then you'll have a problem.
Okay.
6 months from now or 9 months from now, right? That's what happens. Pipeline problems don't manifest right now. They manifest 6 months from now, right? If you have a pipeline problem right now, it's not because you didn't do this today. It's because you didn't do this for the last 4 months, right? That's why you have a pipeline problem today. So, but like, let's say they're really like somebody I really want to get this appointment with them. I always leave a message, right? I say, hey, Jordan, it's Ian, call me back.
Done.
Okay, done. I don't say anything else. Anything else you could say is not going to help you, right? If they don't call me back, I might call them back 3 or 4 days later. Hey, it's Jordan, it's Ian, call me back. Boom. Right? And I might call them 4 or 5 times. And then I start getting funny with them. I recommend you all go get a CD You can find it out there. It's tough to find, but it's called Getting Out of Voicemail Hell. It's by a guy named MJ Durkin, and it's just being funny, but to the point on people's voicemails that keeps you sane when you're chasing people, right? And they get a kick out of it. Eventually, they call you back. They're like, oh, "Dude, your voicemails are hilarious." I'm sorry. It's called Getting Out of Voicemail Hell.
You got an example?
By MJ Durkin, right? So he would say, like, you know, I'm calling Jordan and I say, "Hey Jordan, it's Ian. I'm going to be really great friends with your voicemail, so that's good. And listen, man, you do it for your dog. If he was in as much misery as I was trying to get a hold of you, dude, just call me back, tell me no, put me out of my misery, send me to sleep, okay? But otherwise, I'm just going to keep calling you and I'll leave you these voice messages. I know you get them and you're like, man, this guy is just relentless. So anyways, call me back, put a bullet in my head, let me know it's a no-go, and let's get it done." And then you'd like call back and say, "Hey man, you know," I mean, he just had all these different things that he would say to people that are just like totally over the top. But imagine getting these voice messages. You probably saved them after a while. Like, really? Listen to the one I got today, right? And eventually,
And they're talking about you.
you become almost endearing to them in a weird way, right? And eventually they're like, "Dude, I'm gonna call you back because you are relentless." And I like what you're saying. You're not mad at them. You're not like, "Why won't you call me back? I don't understand." Right? It's like you have fun with them.
Real quick, one more. So I sit down with you and Jess, right? I do a KT. God forbid I don't sell you.
Okay?
How many times should I reach back out to you to try?
You should always have an appointment. If you don't close, you have a follow-up.
Correct. Financial
Set.
needs analysis.
Set before you leave.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're saying then it gets unscheduled
And they cancel.
and then they cancel. Okay. So it depends on how well you set it. That can be largely avoided by post-closing while you're there. Jordan, listen, I'm really looking forward to seeing you then. And dude, you are going to be miles ahead of other people your age. Miles ahead. Nobody's doing such smart things like setting up financial plans at your age besides you. I mean, really, your friends are going to be jealous of you 10 years from now when you are debt-free and you're miles and miles and miles ahead of them. So I just want to tell you, I'm really proud of you for doing that. I'll see you then, right? And I, like, shame them into, like, I can't reschedule on this now, right? I play to their ego and their pride because they should be. They are going to be miles ahead. I'm not telling them anything that's untrue. I'm just communicating with them to lower the risk of them being like, "Yeah, you want to do this? No, we're kind of busy." Right? Okay, you want to reinforce those concepts. Jordan, listen, I just want to tell you, man, every single wealthy person in America got wealthy one way: learning about money and having a plan. Right? So I just want to tell you, you're doing a really, really smart thing. I'm excited to see you. Listen, like, unless you're dead, okay, guard that time with your life. I know you're busy, I'm busy, but here's the real deal. Is this 2 hours going to make you millions of dollars over your lifetime? I'm selling them on keeping that thing, right? So if they unschedule, right, okay, then I'm going to call them to reschedule, right? If I call them 3 or 4 times and they don't pick up the phone, they've told me all I need to know about how that KT is going to go when I get back. And I'm going to cut the cord on that.
Okay.
Off the list.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank
Can't
you.
fix stupid.
Thank you.
Okay. You done out there? All right. One more question. Going once, going twice. All right, you all. Hopefully this is valuable to you. It's not valuable until you use it.